Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Linda.
Hi.
Hi.
You know what? Some of my favorite people are named Lisa.
Lisa,
Everybody named
Lisa.
Lisa, I like. You know, you guys are so cool. But we were just saying before we recorded that I've actually never met Lisa in person, and I feel like we've known each other forever.
I know. I feel the same way. I know not very many people have the name Lisa.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
like
I
Lisa Sunstant. It's cool. My friend's wife is named Lisa. She's cool. You're cool. Every Lisa I know.
it's from the 60s. I think it's a 1960s name. I saw this little girl in the store yesterday. I was standing in back of her and her mom, and she had Lisa Simpson branded sneakers. They were
Oh,
like
cute.
Converse high top or Vans, and I was staring at them, and I was like, Lisa. And then she walked away. I was like, I like your sneaks, and she was like, she got all shy, and her mom's like, I know, they're
Aw.
so cool. I said, I'm a Lisa. Are you Lisa? And she said, I'm a Lisa. So it was kind of, we had that
Aw.
connection, you know.
I like
Lisa
your
Simpson.
sneaks. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Sneaks. I've never said that in
Sneaks.
my life. Sneaks.
Are
So
they called?
okay.
I don't know. I just came up with that. Sneaks.
Lisa, the way we met is because I submitted to your show at the Laugh Cellar,
Mm-hmm.
which is a comedy show at the winery. So it's a wine/comedy show, correct?
It's
And a
so
festival.
I found our original production is called Crushers of Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I could go back a little bit. I'm from wine country originally, and but I was living in New York City doing some crazy stuff over there. And when I moved back to wine country about 7 years ago now, there was really no comedy in the valley. And
Mm.
so I, lived in LA many years ago and worked in the entertainment industry and lived right across the street from the Comedy Store
Mm-hmm.
back in the 90s, and had still had many good friends down in LA. So I thought, gosh, it was harvest crush season here in wine country, and it's a super popular time in wine country. And so I thought, I'm going to start a production company called Crushers of Comedy and
Mm-hmm.
produce world class comedy at wineries in the valley. So that's how we got our start. And ever since our first show, it was a 90 seater show.
Mm-hmm.
And since then we've never looked back. And I'm not bragging about this, but we've never not sold out a show since, and our shows have continued to grow, and now we do 200-300 people out at the wineries in the most beautiful picturesque settings in the valley, views of vineyards, and it's an incredible feeling. And I actually started the production for female comics of color
Oh,
because most of
yeah.
my friends were comedians in LA, and
Yeah.
as we all know, being women, we're got the sideshow on going on in the comedy world. And so
The sideshow.
you know I think
Uh-huh.
it's really funny still when I see shows and like, are you ready for a female comedian? I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Anyway, so yeah,
Do they still say that?
I,
Damn,
I
I
I've
haven't.
seen it a few times. Yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
But yeah, so
Maybe they're saying it like it's a good thing. Finally, a female comedian. Is that what they're saying?
maybe, yes. Yeah, I love how you put a good twist on things.
Yeah.
That's why I like you. You're positive, positive,
Yeah.
positive LS. But yeah, that's Crushers of Comedy. And
Yeah.
then we transitioned into an actual brick and mortar location, and
Mhm.
it's called the Laugh Cellar.
Mhm.
But we since closed that location. As you probably many of you out there know, our area is prone to fires, and the
Mm.
fires of 2017 really devastated our area, and 5,000 homes around our club burned, and it was just a really sad time. So we decided to go back to our roots and start producing shows again back at the wineries. And the wineries missed us too. And it was fun having an actual comedy club.
Yeah.
But it was just for the best. And yeah, and that location where we were, it gets hit hard every year. I mean,
Mhm.
again, we had fire evacuations again this year, and that was evacuated for like weeks. And so it's just kind of like a blessing.
Mhm.
So, but I don't know. Is that how you submitted to the
That's
Laugh
how I met
Cellar
you.
to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Well, actually,
another Lisa Joffrey.
yes, Lisa Joffrey.
Another
Yeah.
Lisa. See?
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
loved you right away. Right when I
yeah.
saw you, I was like, oh yeah, I love this girl. I don't even know who she is. She's got a great, as you once put it, you can tell the essence of someone.
Right. Yeah. So, um, the cool thing is I remember submitting to it. And then I looked at all your stuff online and looked at all the pictures and all the shows, and I was like, dang, these shows are huge. And then I was like, oh, is she even going to look at my video? Because sometimes you submit to a show and then you're like, are they even going to look at my stuff? You know what I mean? But then you emailed me right back and you were like, "This is great, and I'd love for you to do the show." I was like, "Oh my God, awesome." And then I looked at your pictures and stuff and I was like, "She's so hot."
Aw,
And
thank you.
classy. And you're classy too,
Aw, that means
you
a lot
know?
to me.
Yeah, it's so you're so your brand.
Aw,
Do you know, you know what I mean?
well, thanks. Thanks
So
for saying that.
but on that note, I want people to know if you can tell us what you look for in a comedian when they submit to you, or what do you look for when you handpick a comedian to do one of your shows?
Well, one of the first things, it's interesting. A lot of comedians message me through
Uh-huh.
Facebook,
Okay.
which I think is great. That's how we get in. That's our way, a really front of mind way of communicating these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have, I have a prompt on there that, automatic message that says, we get so many Facebook messages, not only just, for the Laugh Cellar and Crushers of Comedy, but for just personal, messages that I get. And so the prompt is, let's take this via email,
Mm-hmm.
email, your resume, current resume, couple clips within the past 6 months, all your contact information, email, to hear this email, right?
Right.
I'm not going to respond to this message, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first way I weed people out. Because if
Okay.
they don't do that, and then they send me another message on Facebook that says, "Hey, I Facebook messaged you like a couple months ago, never heard back." I'm like, okay. There it's like the first step of
Yeah.
communication is key.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one.
Right.
And you know, the wine country audience is very specific. We are not only we draw a local crowd, but it's wine country and it's tourism. There's a lot of transient traffic. So we get
Mm-hmm.
people from all over the world that come to wine country.
Yeah.
And at any given show, I mean, I watch my audiences closely and I really do love the audience. Like I hand touch everybody after the show. Even if we have
Oh,
300 people, I run to the front of the cave, the wine cave or the crush pad, and I try and
yeah.
say goodbye to every single person and make a
Oh,
connection.
yeah.
But our audience is so vast. I mean, we have people from all demographics in wine country.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're one of the only forms of like late night or like entertainment in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Everything goes on in the day in wine country. Wine taste all day, go have a dinner, wine pairing dinner, whatever. But we're
Mm.
entertainment at night, and so
Yeah.
people come out, and so the comedian who performs here, I mean, you have, it's just like you have to be able to reach a wide demographic of people,
Mm.
and so I guess that's one of the criterias. And just, being nice. There's so many people. I get so many submissions and they're mostly from guys, no offense.
Yeah.
And they basically are telling me when they're going to do my show. And I'm
Oh
like, I don't know if any other bookers out there get that sort of entitlement,
no.
but
Yeah.
the first step is listen to like pay attention to how to communicate and
Yes.
submit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, and and be nice.
What
'Cause-
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, because Carly and I, my wife, we run the production together, and we really do treat every single talent that comes through the Laugh Cellar. I mean, they're like family. I mean, it's like when you come to a show, you're like you're in our home, and we want to make you feel,
Mm.
so amazing, because it's, the grind of being a comedian, traveling across, the country sometimes, then, being treated poorly at, specific, places. And, so I'm
Right.
not saying everybody does that, but
Right.
our philosophy is just like every single talent that comes through, you're our family.
Right. And but that's what makes you a successful producer though. Because I've done shows where producers are kind of like, they kind of dismiss me. Either because
Yeah.
I'm not a big name or I'm new or whatever it is. But even if I was the one who invited the most people, they still kind of dismiss me, you know? They still kind
Yeah.
of be like, "Hey, what's up? Yeah, okay. See you later." You know? But
Yeah.
the way you do it where you welcome everybody, and I've noticed a pattern where really successful producers, that's what you guys do. And that's why your show's awesome. But
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, what when you say I want the comedian to appeal to a vast majority of the people,
Mhm.
what qualities in that comedian says that to you? Like, what do you see? Is it their
It's
material, their charisma? Like, what is it?
it's all of that. It's unique. I mean, there's everyone has such a unique voice, and everyone's set is so unique to them. And, I don't like to use the word clean, because, when we talk about clean comedy, right, not blue, right, it's like
Right.
not a lot of vulgarity and this type of stuff. But over time, I've come to find, like, what is clean comedy? There's one comedian that I love to work with, and he's super clean, but he has a few jokes about women that are, kind of questionable. I mean, I think he's meaning them to be in a positive light, but for me, it doesn't. It's not totally offensive, but to me, that's not clean. So, but we had one audience member say, you had a clean comedian as a headliner, but your opener was not clean.
Filthy.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, they used a few, F-bombs that were part of the joke. They didn't just use them just to throw them out there. So, but I tried to explain to this audience member that, like, everyone's interpretation of clean is different. Like, you felt like the opening comedian wasn't clean because they used a few F-bombs, but then the second comedian, who was the headliner, who was completely clean and no vulgarity, had a few offensive jokes about women. And so that's not clean to me. And he was like, wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So I guess getting back to your question, I think it's, for me personally as a booker, I watch their submissions over and over and over, and I just have this gut feeling of whether or not they're going to be, work in wine country. Just, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, I think it's mostly about their personality. And my gut has been really right a lot of the times, because I have booked comedians who I kind of felt like, oh, they weren't really nice to me in the booking process. And, they were kind of rude, and, they were, and I didn't get a really good feeling from them. And sure enough, that same feeling came out on stage, and it's not like they were a bomb, but it wasn't as a success as, when I book a comedian who is just at the get-go, we just feel like we're kindred spirits and we're the people, and that's just how I do it. I don't know how anyone else, book shows, but for me, so I guess it's not about working in the wine country in the audience. I guess it's just about my gut feeling of people who I feel are going to come, who are just genuinely amazing people, who are going to take that amazing spirit they have and shine on stage.
Right. And that's I call that a producer's intuition is what you have.
Yeah.
And
I used to work at an agency in LA when I got out of college. And that's kind of one of the things I learned. I worked for a talent manager who managed very high profile clients. And that was one of the things I learned from him is that gut feeling.
Yeah. And you trust it. Because some of us have the feeling and we can't tell if it's a gut feeling or we're just scared or whatever, but you trust it.
Yeah. And my wife, Carly, she's this is so cheesy. She's my muse. But she has such she's so really amazing at really just really getting people a feeling of people.
Yeah.
And so
that's why she married you.
Oh, I know. Can you believe it? My God. Hello.
Obviously.
No, I mean, it's true. She's she's a good call of character.
Yeah. Awesome. So do you always second, you get a second opinion from her if you feel iffy?
Sometimes. Yeah, too. Yeah. Yeah, like for example, with you, like Lisa sent me, she's like, you have to just meet this. And I've known Lisa for many years. I mean, Lisa and I go back even before I was producing Crushers of Comedy, just from my LA days, And so Lisa and I also trust people like that. Like she sent me your stuff, and I didn't even watch your video. I don't think at first. I just saw your picture and I just read your bio and I looked at you. I'm like, I know she's going to be good. I know she's going to be good. So,
awesome. So is it good? Is it good to have a smiley picture? It's good to have a picture that represents you, right? Like whatever it is, like your essence, like I always say.
Yeah, I like how you say that, your essence. Yeah, I mean, a picture, headshots and promo pictures are do say a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at some of the promos out there. I'm like, wow. You could have done it in a much more positive. It's all about positivity, right? Positive, positive, right?
Yeah.
So,
how long of the video do you watch until you're like, no, this is not it? Do you actually, if they send you like a 10-minute clip, do you watch all 10 minutes and give them the benefit of the doubt? Or are you like, if the first minute you're not making me laugh, I'm just going to turn it off?
Usually fast, because I
Mm.
feel like if you're sending out a reel, you should, really put some peppy stuff in the beginning, to, get someone's attention.
Hmm.
I mean, I do give it a chance and watch it all. I do
Yeah.
watch the whole video, but I do get a gut feeling very soon.
Immediately. Yeah. And then you're
And
like kind of hoping that it'll change or something.
yeah,
Are
and,
you like, eh? Uh-huh.
yeah, sometimes it does. And that you do have to watch them. Sometimes I do watch videos over and over and kind of get it. There's a few people and that's just natural,
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
so let's say someone submits to you and you're like, you're not on, they're not ready or they're not on brand, which I mean, that's normal, right? For this industry. We're not right for every show. Do you send a return email that says not right now, or do you just kind of leave it? Like
Gosh,
what should comedians expect?
I I I used to, but I have
That's too many now.
I
You're
don't
like,
know.
it's too
So,
many
I mean,
now.
that's really rude. No, that's not too many. I don't know. I got lazy a little bit there, and that's, I did mostly because we have a baby now.
Oh, that too. Oh my God.
I try and get back to everyone. I really
Okay.
do. And
Yeah.
I did miss, we had an intern for a bit, and so we missing some stuff, and but I do try and get back to everyone. I feel like that's the
Yeah.
professional way to do it. And sometimes I take a while. Like there have been times when I've, hadn't gotten back to someone after, two or three inquiries, and
Mm.
but and not everything, sometimes it slips through the cracks.
Yeah. I mean, I don't take it personally when bookers don't email me back.
Yeah.
I just think, well, then I'm just not right for the show right now, and I'll follow up later.
Yeah.
I'll follow up in a couple months when I've grown or something like that. And I feel like comedians or anybody in this industry should understand that.
Yeah, it's true. I think you're right. And I think that, I come from the place of like, I want to be treated the way,
Mm,
I want to treat people the way I want to be treated. And I just
right.
think, being as professional as possible is the best.
Right.
But we're human, and sometimes things, slip through the cracks,
Yeah.
and that's the way it goes.
Do you
So.
do you prefer that comedians follow up with you?
If they, yeah, I do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that shows professionalism, and
Mhm.
and well, I have to be honest. Like I do a lot of hand picking too.
Yeah.
Like I go on my own. I take, I used to take a lot of time during the week and just, look at videos on YouTube or
Right.
and to be honest, like we get a lot of referrals.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of submissions, but I would say like 89%, 90% of our talent are referrals. And
Mhm.
usually if someone does our show, like it's really funny, like the day after they'll immediately say, "Hey Lisa, can I refer my friend to your show? It was great."
Yeah.
And so then I'll check that person out,
Right.
and then, but there's that whole like, protocol with referring people and passing on the contact info. And,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I've had people say, "Oh, I don't want that." I was like, okay, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, a lot of referrals.
That's
Yeah.
big. I like referring people, but I won't refer a lot. Like I'm very careful about who I refer to a
Right.
show because I'm
Right.
just like, my name is on it and I'm not trying to have someone unprofessional or whatever, Do you
Right.
prefer comics who so like are so funny but are really good people? You know what I mean? Like they're not as funny as the guy who's like killer, headliner, etc., but he's going to be a little bit difficult. Which one do you prefer?
I think you can get what you want. I think I can find a comedian who's really funny and amazing,
All of it, the whole
Yeah,
package.
the whole package. And
Yeah.
we also partner a lot with Comedy Oakland and a couple
Mhm.
other productions, and we, if I'm bringing up a headliner, I'll say, "Hey, we're going to have them on our shows are only on Fridays or Saturdays because it's
Mhm.
wine country, and we can't
Right.
really have like a midweek show cuz people aren't, in wine country, really
On a
partying on
Tuesday.
the Tuesday." Yeah. So I partner a lot with, Comedy Oakland. And if I'm bringing up a headliner, I'll be like, "Hey, they'll be at our place on Friday. You want to have them on Thursday?" And it's been great,
You
and
do
I
she's being
trust
honest.
Samson.
She does do that. I
Yeah,
do,
I love Samson. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we were. Yeah, you were coming up for
Yeah.
Wine Country Comedy Fest,
Right.
and then you were going to be in Comedy Oakland, and
Right.
I think a couple other places. So
Right. So she does do that. So you're not just talking about it. But from because you come from like you said, agency, PR talent management background, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you like that? What do you like about doing that? Because you're good at it. Yeah.
About all that.
Yeah. About the industry and being the behind the scenes person, the one who makes the star.
Well, I don't. So, um, I started. I worked at a big management company in LA, and I actually prefer. So that's what I'm pivoting to do right now. Since all live shows are on
Yeah.
pause right now due to COVID-19, and I'm not sure when we're going to go back. I've been, where we live in wine country, we're still, on almost. I think we're going to go back into lockdown again, according to our public health officials.
Yeah.
And wineries are, I just feel so bad for the wineries. I mean, everything is just so limited now and businesses are really hurting. And
Yeah.
so not sure I'm going to do live shows. So I have pivoted into management. And so we have a couple clients and we're working on, helping them build their careers. And I love it. I love doing that. And I think that's kind of, where I see myself. My best days were working at the management company in LA. And I think, COVID-19 is horrible, but I think in some ways it's kind of made me realize, I hate to, everyone's using the word pivot, but the pivoting into doing something, taking it to the next level. Right.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh wait, there's more because I'm like listening all intently.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
And then PR, I mean, I used to own my own company in New York City, with my ex-wife, and, this was a long time ago. And, that's when I got into PR. And so I kind of combined the two,
Yeah.
I think, publicity and public relations is a huge part of any brand.
Yeah. And Lisa's super like honest too. Like you're able to be honest without being a dick. Because I remember you were watching my late night mom show or whatever, and you're like, and one time you said, I don't think you need to cuss that much or something like that. Like I don't cuss a lot in general, but I think one of my stories, I use the F word a little too many times. And she's like, you really don't have to. I don't think you need it. You don't need it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then one time she goes, I think you should dye your hair.
Oh my God. I love you. You're so, I love you. You're so, remember
in
the beginning of COVID, we used to talk at night because we had both our kids. But like, I'll talk to you. Can we talk at like 9:30 or 10?
I know. Awesome. And then, but Lisa's able to say that, but I appreciate that though. I appreciate that kind of care,
Well, with the cussing and vulgarity, it's not like I'm anti, like I don't want to censor anybody's show. Your set is your set. It's your art. But I find a lot of times like there's no, if the cuss word doesn't have anything to do with the hook of the joke, really have anything to do with it, I don't really find it necessary, And so, and I hate saying that, but I don't hate saying that. It's really true. And as far as, your hair, you put out something and I love you. I was like, yeah, maybe, I mean, anyway.
It was like all 5 different colors, but I like it. And also with my book too, because, I would be like, Lisa, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And she'd be like, I think you should put a picture on your cover. And I was like, I would have never thought of that. Like, I just wouldn't have thought of it because a lot of times, and this is what I want to ask you too, like what your advice is for women who are a little bit more, because women were so used to like, oh, we can't balance the humble and the ego. You know what I'm saying? Like we know we're great, but we're not like men where we're like, I'm going to do 50,000 YouTube videos and I'm amazing, right? We don't have that. But for you were like, put your picture on the cover. And I was like, oh shit, I would never have thought of that because I'm so used to like not putting shining the light on myself. Right. But once you said that and I put my picture on the cover and I was like, that's amazing. That's what we have to do more of. Like, it's my book, right? Yeah. Why am I not putting my picture on my book if it makes sense? So tell us what you think about that for, in terms of us women. How do we break out of that shell?
Well, first of all, I feel like I told you that because you are such a shining light, just in general. And I feel like the picture that you showed me, and you can really see what an amazing shining light you are. And people need to see that. People need to see, first of all, they need to just see that you're a woman of color and you're writing a book. And then you take it to the next level and you see that, you're that shining light. And what I tell, people, because a lot of people ask me this question, like other female comedians, and, how do I, approach this book or whatever. And I just want women to just be present, just be in the here and now, and breathe, and, and just first of all, think to yourself, I have what it takes to get to where I want to go, and keep that mantra with you. A lot of times you start to think of other things, like, oh God, I'm not good enough. I don't look great. My makeup looks bad. But then they're called fluctuations of the mind. It's a meditation. You have to bring your, establish that. I like to say, like, meditation, and just say to yourself, I am, like the name of your show, like I am, my own breakthrough.
Yeah.
And then keep that with you. Keep it with you. And then all of a sudden if you start thinking about other things, if you start doubting yourself, slowly bring your thoughts back to that meditation. And eventually it's a work in progress. It's an everyday thing. It's like a meditation, when you try and sit down and meditate, and you're there, and then you start thinking about, oh God, I got to send that email. Oh God, I have to, oh shoot, I gotta balance my checkbook. I don't know if people do checkbooks anymore. I don't know. Start see that they're there, but then just keep bringing yourself back to that meditation of what you're focusing on. And it's your breath. When it comes down to it, it's your breath, take that inhale and exhale, and just it's hard to do.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way. That's the only way I can do it. I can't say, oh, well, I'm just going to make a change and I'm going to do this. For me, it all has to be in a meditation format. Even if somebody's bothering me, what I do is I put this person's picture in a rose. It's kind of weird.
Right.
And then I let the rose float away, and I have to do that.
Wow.
It's visual for me. I have to do that. So, and it works because you can't just shift. You can't just say, I'm going to be great. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be amazing. I'm going to be a star. I'm going to be this. It's every single moment of every day. You have to do your meditation. If you read that book, one of my favorite books is Ram Dass's Be Here and Now. It's really be here in this moment right now. So what we're doing right now is we're building both of our brands. We're building everything. We're right here, you and I.
Yeah.
Me and you. And this is our meditation right now. So after we get off this interview, we're going to start thinking of all this other stuff, right?
Right.
But we're going to have to bring ourselves back to our focus,
You were saying if someone irritates you or bothers you, you visualize their face in a rose and then let it go. The first thing that came to my head was I have a fucking garden of roses. I'm gonna have just fields of roses every day.
Yeah, but then you gotta take that garden. You gotta do something with it. Eventually you gotta let it die. You gotta put weed killer on it. And then bye bye.
Oh God! And then when you said this, really gave me feelings about it. When you said be present, right? You said women be present, and you are a woman of color, and you are writing a book, and people should see that.
Right.
I I never even thought of that, Yeah.
You
know what I mean? But that's where it's important to have our tribe, someone like Lisa, like yourself, to have us see those things that we don't see. That I don't see that. But that's why it's important to have the right talent manager, the right PR, the right agent. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just have to establish that relationship. Like my client, we're so connected, and you've got to have, it's trust too, you've got to be able to trust. Like for me, I'm trusting you. I'm telling you, how I deal, about meditation, and my advice to other women would be to stay focused, and, and that's a trust,
Are you taking on clients now? Like, what if someone is watching this and listening and go, "Oh, I love Lisa and I want her to manage me." Like, are you taking new clients or not right now? Because of COVID.
I am. Yeah, it's well, there's not a lot going on right now, right? And so right now we're in the building, we're rebranding and building stages. I actually also too, we launched our own podcast network.
Right.
And so I'm producing. I've gone from producing live comedy shows to producing podcasts, which is super fun.
Yeah.
And they're not all comedy, you know,
Yeah.
it's a variety of voices that we're producing. And it's called
Yeah.
storygram.com, by the way.
Right.
And so have taken on clients in that respect. I have a few hosts that I'm working with. A couple of them are comedians,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of them aren't. And we're producing podcast shows.
Right. And you have your own coming up too, right? About love
Uh,
stories.
yeah, I actually started a podcast called Conversation 5C, and it's just it's a conversation with super nice people I've met all over the world, and I ask them 5 specific questions about their childhood. And it's funny. It's super funny. And so and I'm having a good time, because what I found is sometimes the most simple things in life are the most meaningful.
Yeah.
And people change, times change, weather changes, but memories never change. And I find that fascinating. And I love nostalgia. I love thinking back to, like, youth, when I was a kid and when I was a
Yeah.
teenager. It's so fun, so that'll launch in.
Did you have a good childhood? Because you're so the minute she said we asked you about your childhood, I was like ready to cry. I was all sad. But then you came out with, like, it's such a positive thing. Did you have a good childhood?
I think I had a good childhood. I mean, I was raised in San Francisco by a single mother. My mom was, she was badass, and until she married my stepdad, who was incredible.
Yeah.
I grew up around a lot of aunties and uncles. I was very independent as a child growing up in San Francisco. I mean, we gallivanted the streets. I mean, this is the 70s and 90s in San Francisco.
Yeah.
We had a lot of crazy experiences. I was alone a lot of the time, because my mom worked.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of great cousins and aunties and uncles, Filipinos. We all hang out, and my grandma and my Lolo. And
Yeah.
so I would say it was a great childhood,
Yeah.
I had a good childhood.
I have hope for my son, because I'm a single mom. So if my son is going to grow up to be a quarter like you, I'm okay. I'm good with that. That's going to be fine. He's gonna be fine.
Oh God, Ethan, he's rad. You know what? I'm sorry, because your son and my daughter are about the same age, and so I really want them to be pen pals.
Yeah, I was like, totally. That's so cute. Oh,
I actually bought a stamp. I actually bought this rubber stamp that said happy. It says Happy Mail.
Yeah.
So I figured the letters between Ethan and Georgina, every letter we can stamp it Happy Mail.
Happy Mail. Yeah, and we were thinking, and Lisa even goes, that's just her brain. Like, your brain is very business minded, very like marketing. So she's like, let's do pen pals. And then she goes, we can turn that into a children's book later down the line, which is like, that's amazing.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be so fun. But I want to know about your daughter. Share with the world about your daughter.
Gigi.
Yeah, tell us about her.
Gigi's 3. Oh. And she's amazing. She was recently diagnosed with autism. Mm-hmm. She's on the middle of the spectrum, because she's 3 and she is still nonverbal. Super smart. I mean, she can screw in a screw into the tiniest screw. I mean, she can put any puzzle together. I mean, we're having a battle with this, because we get her all these puzzles.
Yeah.
She puts them together, and then she never wants to have anything to do with them ever again. She knows how to play Connect 4, but she still has no words.
She knows how to play Connect 4?
Yeah, I've been teaching her Connect 4. COVID, we gotta find a lot of things to do,
Well, Lisa's one of those good moms that like spend time with her kids. My son's just
not all the time.
But okay, so she knows how to play Connect 4. So she's like a little baby genius. She's real smart.
I don't know. I think she, she does preschool online. She's in a special education preschool, and obviously now it's virtual.
Yeah.
And it's hit or miss with her, but she's doing great. The only downside right now, and I'm sure you're going through this too, is there's no playtime with anyone,
That's
we
had
for
us. That's rough for us.
That's rough for us, but they're resilient. Kids are resilient, right?
Right.
I mean, we had a playmate down the street, Penny. She lives down the street, and they're the same age. But we play. But then their family goes and does something, And so then we're like, okay, quarantine for another 14 days, and so we really have to. I don't know. Are you that way? We're super stringent around social distancing and going out, and we've been really quarantining. So that's the sad part about Georgina. But
that's what I think too. For the kids, it's rough for them.
Yeah.
And then when they go back to preschool or whatever it is, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment because they're just used to being home all the time.
Yeah.
They're used to being with adults.
Yeah. I wish she could play with Ethan.
I know. So how has like be having a family and a wife and a daughter, how has that helped inspire you to do your business?
In so many ways.
Mhm.
You know, I I love what I do. I'm
Mhm.
so passionate about, producing and and presenting, world-class entertainment out there. And I
Mhm.
love I really, really, really truly love what I do. And when Gigi was born, it was like, I really want to make this a legacy business. I want this to be something that, she one day, if she wanted to, it could be something for her, you know, to be a part
Yeah.
of. I mean, she has been
Aw.
to so many. I mean, she was a week gold, and she was at a comedy show, and everybody,
Oh.
was like so
Aw.
excited. She had tons of fans before she was born. People were
Yeah.
like always writing, "When's baby G going to be born?" She's been to a
Aw.
ton of comedy shows in LA. Like she'd be out in the stroller, and then I'd go in and watch a set, and then all the comedians would come out and watch Gigi. And then they go back in and watch a set. So we were like, this is really interesting. But
Uh,
and she's been around. So when she was born, it's hard to balance
mhm.
work and motherhood
Right.
and that kind of thing. And so for me, I just really dug in, and I just told myself, this business is a legacy business now, and it's
Mm.
something, it's for Georgina, and it's for, our family.
Yeah.
And if it happens to turn out that way, great. If not, but it really does help me to,
Yeah.
have more focus.
Aw. Because motherhood just doesn't it just change you? I'm choking, but doesn't it just change you? You're just like, "Oh my god, I'm a mother.
Yeah.
Like I'm raising this child." You know?
Yeah,
What
I
the
love
hell
how
am I
you
doing?
you really incorporate it into your life, and your comedy and everything. I just love how you talk about it, because it's
Mhm.
really important for people to hear about motherhood and what it's like to be a mother in the schedules. Like,
Yeah.
you may have experienced this. Like, we have friends that don't have children,
Yeah.
and sometimes, it's like we can't do certain things, and
Right.
they don't understand that.
Right. My friends have stopped inviting me to stuff. They're just
Exactly.
they're like, "She's
Exactly.
not coming anyway." You know what I mean?
Same.
Like, she's not like now, even now in quarantine, um, now I'm just like, I don't wanna go because I don't wanna pay a sitter, you know? I'm like,
Right.
if I don't have to pay a sitter, I'm not gonna pay a sitter because then I
Yeah.
can save that money for anything else, Kids need to eat. I don't know if
Yeah.
girls eat as much as boys, but my son is eating a lot.
Oh, I think you're right on that one. I think boys eat more. I
Oh
I
my
do.
god.
My sister tells me about my nephew, and I'm like, "He ate how much? A dozen eggs? 1 dozen eggs he ate?" I mean, that lasts like,
Yeah.
2 weeks in our house. Like, 1
I
dozen
like the way you
eggs.
said that. I like the way you said that. That's funny.
I was
But
like, "Whoa."
so your wife has been supportive and everything through this whole thing, right? Through your whole all of your business. Do you guys have the same parenting style?
I think so. I think, it's really important to be on the same page
Yeah.
and communicate, and, just be good listeners to one another. I mean,
Mhm.
we met, and that first week, that next week, I was presenting our very first Crushers of Comedy show. So
Oh,
she's been, with the production since the very first show. I mean, the very
yeah.
first show, it was like my mom and dad and my sister running the front box office.
Uh-huh.
And then she came, and I was like, "Hey, mom and dad, this is my new girlfriend of a week." And
Oh.
I'm like, "Put her to work." So they started working, and so she's been with the production since then. And yeah, it's not easy. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
we are at each other's throats, during, we're COVID, we're
Yeah. Right.
yes, of course.
But has quarantine brought you closer though? Are you learning more things about I mean, you're always going to learn things about each other, but what are
Yeah.
the pros of being in quarantine together?
Well, I have, this is so funny, because I was just talking to Carly about this yesterday.
Uh-huh.
We've been married for a little over 5 years now,
Yeah.
and I feel the same way I felt, like, the way the first week of we were dating, when that first
Aw.
week when you're like, when they call and you're like, oh my God.
Oh, you get butterflies?
Yeah, I do. And I know that sounds cheesy and
Oh, that's so sweet.
but it's truly how I feel. And yesterday I was out going to the grocery store and I called Carly um and she answered the phone. She's like, "Hey, what's up?" And that just I said, "Oh my God, hun." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You just like brought back a memory to me like when we were first dating and we would text or I would call and you would say, 'Hey,
Yeah.
what's up?' Cuz you're trying to be cool,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and so quarantine hasn't really affected us. I mean,
Mhm.
we have our good days and our bad days and we're happy and we just, you know, for me, I'm going through it's more my fault because
Okay.
because I'm going through menopause now. And
Okay.
so we all know that what that means. I mean, you don't, but I do. And it's like, the hormones.
Yeah.
Um, and so I do, and that plays a part. But
Yeah.
again, I bring myself back to the meditation. It
Right.
really is so important. Like when I feel that I'm going to say something that's not going to s- come off right, or it's actually, not
Mm.
very nice, I really do stop, get a control of my emotion and just, especially with menopause,
Dude, that's amazing that you can do that, that you're mindful of it, that you're like, "Oh, I feel it coming up, so I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm not gonna dig a hole," you know?
Yeah, I think most people do. I mean,
Because
don't you
some
think? I
people
mean, if
just
you're
my dad didn't, he just blurted whatever he wanted to blurt. I mean, not that he went through menopause, but you know what I mean?
well,
Like, some
men go
people
through menopause.
because some people just blurt things out. Like my parent, like I'm thinking about how my dad growing up, he was angry, right? So
Mhm.
he would like smack us, right? But I'm thinking nowadays we can't smack our kids like that without going to jail. So then I'm thinking my dad, I am actually mindful of it, but my dad didn't hold anything back. Like he couldn't control himself. That's why to hear you say that you control yourself and you understand not to just blurt things out and do
Yeah.
whatever,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
I was smacked with the spoon. I mean, isn't it funny how our parents like I just remember my mom like what's what they did? Like they would get like especially in those wooden spoons,
Yeah.
they would like my mom would oh gosh, but I don't know.
We
Was it
don't
they
do
were
that.
just we don't do that. I don't know. I don't know. Stress, I think it was stress. They were,
Yeah.
just stress and um
Not as much education, I think also. There wasn't a lot of stuff about parenting out the way it is now. Now there's too many things and we're like, which way do we go?
yeah, and you have
No.
to be your own parent. I mean, there was before COVID, just interacting with other parents, it's like, everybody has to parent the way they want to parent,
Yeah.
and nobody could judge that. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of, I don't what do they call it?
Mom shaming?
Mom shaming. Yeah. It's like has gone through that a few times because she, was taking Gigi out to more play dates and she felt mom shamed a little bit.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And now, Gigi, she's been diagnosed with autism. It's
Yeah.
so funny to see other moms when we let them know, they're like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Like, and it's like, oh, but nobody, they just don't know. I mean, it's like we don't
Yeah.
blame, but yeah.
D-
So
Parenting, dude, that's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. The
it is
hardest
her.
thing. But I wouldn't have been a comedian without my son. I wouldn't have been a comedian. I wouldn't have met you. My life wouldn't have changed. So thank God. I mean, parenting is hard, but also thank God for parenting, you know? Are
Yeah.
you going to have more? Do you want more?
Well, we do have a couple vials of sperm in our bank, our cryogenic bank. And so we've thought about it.
Uh-huh.
And we were very lucky, we got pregnant on the very first try with,
Yeah.
we didn't, we would just, turkey baster style. Um, and so we were very lucky. And that's why we really feel like Gigi is just such a chosen, child
Yeah.
because she came on the first
Yeah.
injection.
It's meant to be. I know.
Yeah, she was cryogenically frozen for 4 years. Well, not she, but the sperm that helped make her. And
Uh-huh.
she was cryogenically and she came out. She was great.
Aw.
But I told when we were doing the injection, the basting, I call it, I saw it. I saw that. I was like, I could see that cervix and I was like, that I go, Carly, we are in. I'm like, it is, we are there. We are pregnant. And the doctor, we had our doctor there, our OBGYN there too. She was like, now, girls. Like, okay, just, I'm like, nope, I saw it. I'm like, our baby's in there right now.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
then, week later or 2 weeks later, we got the pregnancy test. Yay.
Oh, look at I like how we went from comedy to producing to booker to parenting. But see, but that's because I like the things you have to say. I remember when I was starting this show, Lisa said, I invite you to only have gems on your show. Like whatever it is that you, because she said if you're a gem and you're like she was talking to me. Lisa's my personal what do you call that? Hype man.
Aw, sweet.
No, but she was like, but you're a gem. She's like, if you're a gem, I want you to have people who are only gems on your show. Right? That's what you said.
Yeah. I remember.
And for me, I'm also very like anal picky about who I interview and who I have on the show and stuff too, you know. And then so that's why having you on, I'm like, I just want to pick your brain. I want to know like everything about the marriage and the daughter and the comedy and the PR, all of it, because I value what you have to say.
Aw,
You know,
thank you.
I'm not getting paid yet, so I'm not pretending to like anybody. I say this on every show. Like I'm not getting paid to pretend to have someone on the show that I don't like. And one day it might happen.
There
So
you
right
go.
now I get to choose the people I love, you know. So that's why I'm talking to you about everything.
Well, I think you'll always get to choose, right? You'll get to choose,
Yeah.
even when you're, when I'm going to be like, am I still going to have your phone number and be able to text you?
Of
Like
course.
that's the true test, you know.
Right.
No, I've
Yeah.
had friends who've made it and like they have to get new cell phones and
Mm.
rechange all the numbers because they just really can't get texts from, every odd
Old
person.
friends?
Yeah, why
But
would
like
they
I
do that?
mean, it's your old friends. You wouldn't have gotten there. I don't forget people.
Oh
You
no,
know what I
don't do
mean?
that. Yeah.
We don't forget people. And I know you're like that too. Like we're not going to forget.
No.
Can we say I'm just going to say it. Aiden will probably appreciate it, but we're not never going to forget Aiden's first book. You know?
Yes.
We're
Yes,
never
and we're
going to
working
forget
on the
that. And
second book. Yeah.
the second book already,
Yeah.
writing is a huge deal, man. It's so
I'm excited for
hard.
yours. I got my copies on the way.
It's coming.
Right?
It's coming soon.
Yoo-hoo!
And but we all know the book publishing process is so long. It's like
Yeah.
long and anyway, that's a whole different thing. But yeah, so Aiden's book, we're never going to forget his first one that you also helped with the publishing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't, I helped post production. He had his own editor on the book. But it's been so fun, and there's as there's something with writing and just everyone has a story to tell,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's a matter if you want to tell it,
Mm-hmm.
just tell your story, put it out there,
Yeah.
and it's been super fun. Yeah.
And you're really big on promoting people of color. You're really big on that. You've told me that since like day one.
Yeah, because that's all my friends.
I don't know if people of color, is that the right word to use?
I think so. Or if you're a
Okay.
millennial, POC.
POC. Because I don't know I don't know who I'm offending anymore, or like what am I using the wrong word? But okay.
I think you're fine.
Okay.
I think it's good. I think people,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we just promote the people that we believe in and
Mhm.
that, and that's it. Just, a lot of my friends are POC. So I believe in them.
Aw.
And what's so funny is when we first started producing shows, it just so happened that, the comedians that we booked were women of color. And I actually had a lot of people come up to me after the shows and tell me that my shows were reverse racist. And I would say, whoa, how do you mean? They're like, it's not very diverse. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just like as diverse as it can get, And we're like, you never have any like white comedians. I'm like, I do. And they're like, and so it was like this whole
Reverse
narrative is
racist.
just like, yeah. And this was this first woman that said this to me was a 60-year-old lesbian woman. And I'm like, shame on you for even saying that. Like, come on, so.
But I mean, white people have had their chance for so long.
And I'm half white, so I guess half of me is like, validate half of me.
Right. You're never going away. You're never going to be forgotten. It's fine that you're not on one show. Does it make sense?
Right.
Nobody, it's like you've been recognized for so long.
Right.
I have nothing
Exactly.
against white people. I'm just saying, give us a chance. Give us our shot. Give us our time.
There you go.
Just give
I
us our time. Yeah.
I know. And that's why I feel like, so I wanted you to be on your book cover, because it's like
Yeah.
people need to see, who you are,
So smart. See,
Yeah.
that's why I'm telling you, that's why you need a tribe. It's important to who is in your
Mhm.
tribe.
Yeah.
It's very, I'm very like, because now too we're parents, so we don't have a lot of capacity for bullshit. So
That's
like
very true.
the people in our tribe are very close knit people that I can say whatever I want to, and they're not going to judge me for it.
Yeah. I mean, I
um,
think if we just all take into consideration everyone's civil liberties and equality, and
yeah.
respect, and not always being outside your body and just blurting out stupid stuff that are
Mhm.
gonna is genuinely gonna hurt people.
Mm,
I mean, and just be, like I said, be present, be compassionate, and
yeah.
try and put yourself in anyone else's shoes,
Mm,
but I just have a hard time putting myself in the shoes of some other some people that, like what's going
right,
on in
right.
our current country right now. It's
Yeah.
like I can't put my shoes in that person's place. I just can't,
Yeah.
you know.
It's not
But if
in
we can
you.
apply that 90% of the time,
Yeah.
I think it works.
But see, people like you have it naturally. People like me have to like be I have to like really think about it to do it. Does that make sense to you? Like
Yeah.
it's in your
I,
nature to just be compassionate, right, with the world. And for me, I have to like, okay, I can do it, but it just takes some time. I have to adjust my thinking or my brain.
yeah, I think it comes back to that meditation again, because like we
Mm.
said, we were talking earlier, just you and I on the phone earlier. It's we were talking about people that we just can't, have in our world, right, in our tribe right now, and I think that you have to just, like, I put those people out. It's pasture,
Yeah.
and that's when you can really focus on being compassionate. If you keep,
Mm,
having these people in your world, it's super
right.
hard to be compassionate.
Right. Everybody around me is compassionate. I'm the one that's like the asshole. So
You're that.
I surround myself with good people. No, honestly, like I know where my weaknesses are, so I surround myself with people who can help me to learn those things, those qualities that I don't necessarily have, because we all have our flaws, right? But so what is your any last words? What is your last words to just in general in the comedy world, in the comedy scene, whether it be uh, behind the scenes, agent, you want to be a talent manager, you want to be a booker, you want to produce a show, comedians,
Well,
what's your advice?
I would just say, keep going, be
Mm,
true to yourself. Like you just said, surround yourself with a good tribe, a good
yeah.
team, and just know that it's not always going to be yes, and you're going to come up against a lot of barriers,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to, again, bring yourself back to that meditation. It wasn't meant to be. If something doesn't work out in your favor, like I always tell my clients, like if it didn't happen, if you didn't get booked on the show, if they passed you up, it wasn't, there was something else. There's something
Yeah.
else. And
Mm,
I even look at that when it comes to, like, if I'm driving somewhere and there's a traffic jam, and it's like, I know, like, I have friends that, like, they just get so pissed off because, like, we're in a traffic jam, or they did. It's like, well, that wasn't the right path,
hmm.
and your path you will find your path. You just be patient and be nice. Just be nice.
Mm.
Be nice along the way.
Be
I know that
kind, huh?
sounds really basic, but it's just, be nice.
We forget the basics sometimes. What a metaphor for life, right? When you said, if I'm driving somewhere and there's a traffic jam, maybe that's just not the path right now. That's a
Yeah.
metaphor. That's how it is with life. Like, some of us are like, oh, I really want to, let's say, for example, I'm like, I really want to get this book out. I really want to write this book, but there's always that traffic jam to get there.
Right.
Maybe just kind of pause and be like, okay, wait, is something else screaming my name right now that I'm kind of ignoring? You know what I mean? Does that
Yeah.
make
Oh,
sense?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And, and you just have to be, patient,
Mm,
and like I said earlier, like, sometimes the most simplest things in life are the most meaningful and have the most meaning.
Oh, like when your wife picked up the phone and said, "Hey, what's up?"
She really did. I mean, I have to tell you, like, genuinely, authentically, honestly, when I called her and she's like, "Hey, what's up?" That memory
Hmm.
brought me back to a place which was amazing. And then I just was like so gooey, and I was like all goosebumpy, and I
Yeah.
felt really like sexual towards her. And I just felt like
Oh,
all, I
and
felt
then you went
really,
home and like ripped off her clothes.
well, we have a 3-year-old. So, um, yeah.
Who's with you're like we have a 3-year-old who's at home all the time right now.
All the time.
Aw. But remember those days when you could do that?
I know, totally. Yeah. I mean, now we hug, like we were like, in the kitchen, like hugging, and Gigi comes along, and then she goes in between, and like, okay, group
Oh,
hug, family hug, it's like, okay.
oh, that is so sweet. See, I'm a big sap. Like
Yes.
I seem like my
It's
comedy is
good.
very like dark, but then I'm like a sap. I cry over these things, you
It's
know?
good to be sappy. I love
Yeah,
being sappy.
I
That is like
know.
your heartstrings are so powerful. It's like
Yeah.
we have to be sappy and be nostalgic and really cherish those things, and I think that will that helps too, like with your business dealings and your partnerships,
Mhm.
and you know and just you and facing the world,
Yeah. It's good
you
with the
know
relationships because they say business is relationships. Just building
right.
that relationship. It's just not all money, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And like sometimes, like getting back to your question, like, sometimes partnerships don't work out, or sometimes they're just done, and it's just, it's
Yeah.
just what you have to be accepting of that.
It's what it is. And it's not always personal either, right?
Yeah.
It's not always about you. Sometimes it just doesn't work. You
Yeah.
can't kind of like that traffic jam. Maybe your partnership is a traffic jam and you're not going anywhere.
Right. Right.
Maybe
Or
it's
it needs
time
to
to
be
exit.
reinvented. It needs to be
Yeah.
reinvented. And that's a great thing is you can always reinvent yourself. You can
Yeah.
always change your mind. You can always shift things up. That's what life is,
So
changing it up.
true. So true. How would one reinvent themselves? You just switch it. Like, let's say, for example, for me, I'm very like late night mom, and I'm irreverent, and you know, etc. And then one day I'm like, okay, I want to be the goody goody mom. Did
Yeah.
someone, let's say, for example, does someone just switch? They
Yeah. I
just
think,
revamp
well,
everything?
Well, if it's natural, if it's something that you
Yeah.
feel like you can do naturally,
Hmm.
then just it'll come off seamless. I mean, I'm kind of going through that with now, like we're a comedy production company, and we're obviously on hold right now. And I could have done the whole virtual thing, and we've done a handful of Zoom private shows for companies and nonprofits, but
Yeah.
I never took the route of like virtual Zoom shows,
Yeah.
and because that's not what I do.
Right.
I'm a live comedy stand-up comedy producer,
Right.
and so that's not what I did. So I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity to switch and do pivot, that word pivot. And
Uh-huh.
so I partnered with, Daedalus. He's the editor of the Bohemian, and we started a podcast network. And
Yeah.
it's not comedy, but it's authentic to me, and I'm
Mm,
still sharing voices and artists. And so people might say, well, it's not comedy, it's not a comedy podcast network, but it's
mm,
still the arts,
yeah.
you know and the other projects that we're working on right now that are launching very soon, they're not all comedy,
Right.
but they're entertainment driven, and they're inspiring artists and promoting artists and delivering that diverse voice.
Hmm.
And so if it's natural, I think
Right.
it'll come off across for your brand perfectly. And I
True.
think you can do that. I think that you're I think that you have a voice, and
Hmm.
I think your late night mom show is super amazing,
Hmm.
and I think you have a niche,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you know, I think it's great. And I think
See?
so if you want to go come across, change it, you can do that.
Well, I don't because that wouldn't be true to me, but I'm
Yeah.
not the goody goody mom. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense to me even. But do you guys see what I mean by hype man? She's my hype man. She just hyped me up right now. Like,
Well, if you want to be a goody goody mom and you want to share recipes, then then it'll come across
right.
perfectly.
If that was true, if there was a part of me that had it in me,
But you
I
are,
don't.
aren't you a goody
But
goody? You're not a goody goody, or you are not? Are you
I'm
not?
not
You
a
just said
goody
you're
goody
sappy.
mom. I am sappy. Like I'll cry watching America's Got Talent and people making their dreams come true. I cried, I'm like, oh, like I teared up when Kamala did her speech.
Oh yeah,
Kamala.
me
I
too.
mispronounced her name. But when she did her speech, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
That touched me. And I was really happy for Joe. I'm not really political. I'm a newborn, like I told Lisa. But when I was watching Joe Biden, I was like so happy for him that he got to be president in his lifetime.
Right.
I mean, he's not going to run again after, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, who knows?
if not for this term, meaning like if not for this term, he wouldn't have run for the first time again.
Right.
When he's
right.
80 something, right? So
Right.
then but anyway, I was just so happy for him. And to see him like jogging out to the podium was so cute.
I know. That was awesome. I love that. That was
with
so
his
amazing.
mask. Like things like that, to your point, the little things like that that tugs on my heartstrings, gets me in my feelings.
Well, your show is about all of it, right?
All of it.
You're the badass bitch, the chincana. You're the goody mom.
You're right. Sometimes, yeah.
You're the mom that says
organic mom.
You're the organic mom. You're the mom that says, Ethan, get your own yogurt. I don't want to get your yogurt. Get your own yogurt.
I do say that. Oh God, I do. But Lisa, thank you. I'm gonna keep you on forever. Maybe that's why I can't do podcasts and stuff, because I want to talk to my guests forever. Like I never want to get off.
Well, that means you are truly a good host. I'm hyping you again, girl. No, it's true. You want to stay on this mic. If you want to stay on this mic, that means that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Like I would always wondered, I was like, how does Joe Rogan talk to his guests for like 3 hours? Now I get it. Because you just don't want to get off.
This is what you want to do.
Thank you, Lisa. You're amazing.
Thank you.
You're awesome. You're world class for sure. Aww. I love your brand. I love everything about you.
I love everything about you.
Oh, see? You're gonna make me ugly cry. I'll put all your socials and everything and your website and stuff so everyone can go and check you out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm gonna stop the recording now. Thank you. Bye.